Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're going to be checking out Ivan B. Delightful base trait, reduce the reload time of the main guns, or decrease the enhanced detection after firing. Fourth slot perk, shell grouping, dispersion, but increased detectability. So you got two options to go with this thing. If you're going to run Ivan B. Delightful, perhaps this is the way to do it. This is the build we're running on here. Long range, hyper accuracy build. So we had Norm Scott on there, and we had Kuznetsov as the inspirations. That's the build we got in this game. If you actually rewind and look at the inspirations, someone in my Dewey's Lounge, the members section of our Discord, suggested pairing Lemon, the French cruiser commander, with this guy as an inspiration. So at first I tested it off on one of these Russians, but using that slot 4 perk, we're enhancing the visibility, the surface detection of this ship. So I don't think it necessarily works, at least not on the first. The only ship I tried it on so far was the mildly upgraded Gorky, which probably we need some more range. Maybe we can actually try the build up, but we're trying it out on some more stealthy builds. So maybe we're going to cover that option with this Ivan B. Delightful more as an inspiration in conjunction with Lemon. That might be coming up in the future, but for now, this game we're focusing on the hyper accuracy kind of long range build. Backline cannon, what's better than that than the Kutuzov? Okay, now it's going to start off as kind of a run of the mill, long range gunner type of a game. That's what these Russian cruisers typically do well. At least the first iteration of the cruisers. We're still learning about the new line, but as this game develops, it's actually going to be one of the more exciting finishes, at least for me to play. It was one of those games, I played a lot of games. There's some people that play a lot more than me, but I've played 11,000 some odd games. Played plenty of them, and usually I don't get too worked up. My heart doesn't start pounding that often. The end of this game is one of those games, so it was very exciting to play. Hopefully you guys do enjoy it. But we're just going to start to develop kind of the backline philosophy, and you can see these shell groupings quite accurate here. Now, if we're going to try and play this playstyle, we want to enhance the gun range, of course, and then we want to play basically at or near max range. You don't want to let the ships actually creep in, because that just kind of negates the entire point of the build. You actually want to be actively looking on the map. Make sure you're playing them at long range. That can be discouraging, especially for your teammates when they're looking on the map saying, why is that cruiser off in Timbuktu? But then they might notice, okay, it's the Kutuzov. Hopefully he's playing his role pretty well. And that's all we're really doing here. If you can imagine this as a strategy game, which is how we usually talk about it, I kind of view it as more of a board game on the top left-hand corner of the screen, and then more of an action game in the main part of the screen. But the board game, more important than, the raw video game aspect of it. But if we're positioning our pieces around the board, this would just be the guy that's kind of in the back, lobbing shells, doing consistent damage over the course of the game. So we got an EOP on here. We're going to be primarily relying on the HE shells, just lobbing them downrange, trying to get some fires going. EOP, of course, cuts into that, but we're trying to balance that out with the raw enhanced penetration, which hopefully will just generate more raw damage, and then the fires we do get will augment those. So basically, you usually don't play too much you want to kind of play in the middle of your side of the board in terms of the left to right deployment, but then kind of back behind your team. So hopefully your team will be doing what they need to be doing in front of you. And that's kind of why I've never really embraced these Russian cruisers, because I get the role and I get when it's played well, it's very valuable to the team, but I like to have a little bit more control over the game. It's like the Champagne, it's the ultimate long-range battleship, but when you're way back there, very hard to actually influence the game. You're just kind of there to support the team. So that's what we're doing here. We're just piling on the shots here. We're going to keep seeing this destroyer over here, and we're going to take some shots on this Fantastic. Okay, now 15, 16 kilometers. That's not a reliable shot on destroyers, but if you look at the time to target, it's only about 10 seconds. And the guy's not really going that fast. He's kind of bouncing off the island. His engine's getting knocked, going back and forth. So we're going to take a couple shots in between shooting at this North Carolina. We missed him the first couple cells. I think that one there that we just launched actually will hit him, though, which, it's worth at least exploring those shots, seeing can you get within the neighborhood of the guy. You can see there we actually plopped him, did some sort of incapacitation to him. So We always encourage shooting destroyers. Of course, that's a very valuable play, especially in low destroyer count games like this. And look at the score here, by the way. Ooh, we're getting pummeled. Down 4 ships. They've only lost 1. Cap-wise, neither team this game is going to do that great. And that's going to allow... This is why we always talk about controlling the caps, because when you don't do that, it allows these situations where, okay, we got a huge ship lead. It feels like we're winning this game, but you never know. That enemy team can creep back. And if you're not exerting your dominance on the map when you have significant ship advantages like they have had heretofore, that allows the door to remain open for the enemy team to come back. Okay, so that's always a mistake. You want to capture and control the bases as best as you can. Of course, not going to be possible in every situation, but nevertheless, a good goal to have in mind in general. All right, so we got the Minsk on sea. We've also got that Fantasky just goes down there off to the western side of the map. So now we're in a situation where we've lost both of our destroyers very early. Common situation if you've played more than 10 games in this game. World of Warships Legends, that's probably happened to you about 8 or 9 of those. The destroyers tend to go down very quickly, but we're kind of trying to push in at this point in time. The game's developing here. It's opening up a little bit more, and because there's less ships out there to spot us, now we can get more centrally located or closer to the front lines. We do want to push into sea. That's kind of my goal here. The presence of the Bismarck stops that, okay? We always talk about battleships' position being more important than the actual results of the guns, right? You pull the trigger in the battleship, sometimes the thing you aimed at dies, sometimes it doesn't. You don't really have much control over that aside from, you know, the raw underlying aim, but once you pull the trigger, then the game decides what the results are going to be. But the fact that he's there means that for me to go into C directly, or B, whatever that cap is, C, if I sail directly in there, the Bismarck doesn't move there, he's going to be able to shoot me in the sides the entire time, right? So that's kind of the limitation on the play here. But Minsk, he's like, okay, I'm going to rush a cruiser. Destroyers, Russian cruisers, we got to talk. It's not a viable play, guys. Very, very rarely should you be attempting that play. Very common play, not a viable play, though. So we take him down, and that's kind of a gimme. Okay, we're down to our last 2 ships here, though. We got a Bismarck, we got the Kutuzov. I got full health, which isn't too bad, but we got 4 enemy ships on the enemy team. They got the 2 cap control. We got our home cap, and then B is uncontested or uncontrolled at this point in time, with red forces essentially adjacent to them. So if whatever that, I think it's still the Bismarck, he needs to capture B. He's actually turning in hard, though. He's going for the win. We've already torped that gap that he's attempting to come through. We're attempting to get back. We need this island in between us and the Bismarck, so we're turning off as quick as we can. We're going to launch the torps because we're expecting to die here, and then hope to at least kill him in return. At this point, it's not looking good. Secondaries go off once we get spotted, but we keep that island between us, drop spot, the secondaries go silent, able to hit him with the guns, and check this out. Torps coming in at him here, and it's looking good. We got one more shot off. The front guns, of course, will get blocked, but fire away. The back guns hit him, and boom. 1, 2, looks like 3 torp hits, and down he goes. So now we got 3 ships to 2, and again, because they were really slow to get C, and because they didn't really press the advantage when they had the numbers, now the game's manageable. Okay, it's over. The game's over, half over. They're only halfway to the 1,000 mark, so we still got a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, and that's the disadvantage of kind of ignoring the caps. Now we're just playing on who's going to kill everyone else. Okay, which is sometimes domination mode games will come down to who kills the enemy team, but if you can put that pressure on with the cap control, that limits their options, because then they're forced to get on the caps. Speaking of being forced to get on the caps, we need the Bismarck to get on C. He perhaps wanted me to get on there, but we had already turned off to disengage over here, and he's able to do it. Okay, he's right over there. So he's going in, and here's an important point that we need to understand. Like, everybody understands destroyers, key for spotting. Carriers, key for spotting, right? But in a situation where we got 1 cruiser, 1 battleship, who's responsible for spotting in that case? It's the battleship, of course. He can survive hits. I can't. I get spotted here. Alabama's immediately going to shoot at me. Does the game end right now? Perhaps, perhaps not. We're attempting to turn off. But, it's kind of up to his aim and the RNG. Do these shots blow me up or not? Well, they take a good chunk. Almost half our health gone. We do pop the heal there. Drop the smoke. We need to disengage. We're not going to sit in the smoke. Of course, we cannot let these 3 ships, which are all close to us, get these hits. But we've at least gotten a lay of the land here. We know what's going on over here. We did a little bit of damage. We're creeping up on 100k. Not too bad considering we only have 40,000 HP base on our ship. So we're doing pretty good in terms of our own contribution to the game. But that's not important at this point in time. Need to kill all 3 ships. Okay, we're on sea now. We're stopping the bleeding, but we need to be acting in conjunction with each other, kind of engaging these guys all as one. Of course, we're not getting any spotting right now due to the smoke being here and the Bismarck utilizing island cover to keep himself safe. Okay, so it's not going to work out currently. I think he's desperately trying to capture the base, which I get the mentality and I normally applaud 80% of the time. But again, you need to be able to understand, is this game going to be won on score or is it going to be won on ship kills? And that's a game skill. It comes with experience. It's not easy to pick up, so I would never expect everyone to come off the streets and understand how to read the game. But at this point in time, we do need to kill everyone, okay? They've had the cap advantage for the whole game, and they've had the ship advantage. So we understand we're in a deficit both in the background and in the foreground. The background being the passive score, foreground being the ships that are actually alive. We're trying to shoot everyone here, trying to get those resets, keep that base uncaptured. We're going to take some punishment for that. Wichita coming in here. Bismarck's secondary is doing a good job of hitting him. I'm not really seeing a lot of main gunfire. I hit him, which is a little bit frustrating. We need to target these ships basically from lowest health to highest health, easiest to kill to least easiest to kill. A lot of shots going to the battleships. I think most of those are secondaries, which of course is out of the player's control, but always something to consider. Let's get these ships dead. Do it with gusto, do it with speed, do it with urgency. There's no time to be fooling around here. Wichita slams on the brakes. I'm going to take 1 or 2 shots to determine that. You can see they're falling short. We actually hit him with the fire there, but we adjust the aim to go behind him. And now we're just trying to disengage here. We're hoping once we get behind this island again, we're hoping that the Bismarck's got a line of sight on these guys. We can get behind the island, shoot for free, and that will allow our team to, get damage for free. Because when we're trying to win on ship kills, essentially what we're dealing with is team HP, right? You got both teams have an HP pie, health pool pie. Whichever team's HP depletes to 0 first wins the game in that scenario. Again, not taking into account the domination aspect of the game. So whenever that is the case, the ability to shoot and deal damage while not receiving it, key. Okay, so again, we're hoping for the best here. Kind of stuck here a little bit, because to disengage, we do need to be pulling behind this island to the right-hand side of the screen, but we can't do it wide. I can't just pull off in a wide turn there. That would have been a citadel shot had we been broadside. So we kind of have to be careful here. I want to pull to the right as much as possible, but whenever we're anticipating ordnance coming in, and there we did catch a little bit on the 45-degree angle. Well, whenever we're expecting those shots, then we kind of have to point back at them, trying to angle, protect the citadel as best we can. You can see we're almost to that island cover. Gets one more shot off at the front 2 turrets. We're going to, once again, angle in, try and mitigate that as best as possible. Take a little bit of damage, not the end of the world. Vanguard on the ropes, and look at this, 2 to 2 after being down 2 to 4 in a substantial hole. Need the Vanguard to go down, then we need the Bismarck hopefully to get a little bit of damage on here. Now, Alabama last saw us going north, right? Immediately we're able to turn, disengage, go south, and that's shaking up the expectation. Anytime you drop sight and you can change what you're doing, that's going to fool a lot of the players. The good players are going to probably guess what you're trying to do anyways, but you're playing against a good player at that point in time, and you got enough problems to deal with anyways, so might as well try the play whenever possible. Unfortunately, Bismarck does go down earlier than we were hoping. We were hoping he would get maybe 10, 15k damage on here, come around with AP, pepper this guy for some shots, but his secondary's tearing us up. Main gun's about to reload here, and of course that's going to be the coup de grace. So close finish there. We got about 150k damage, but I thought that was a very exciting game to play, and hopefully you guys did enjoy watching it. So that'll do it for that one, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you. And we'll see y'all later. Peace.